Hey everyone, Social Coach Michael Knight here, and today what we're going to be talking about is the proper way to build a rapport with another person. Have you ever had an interaction where it just seemed effortless, smooth, the conversation just seemed to flow from point A to point B, and it just seemed all natural? But then you have had other interactions where it's the exact opposite. It feels like pulling teeth. It feels like you have to force every word out and force it along, and it just creates this awkward energy in the room. Well, today we're going to talk about how you can better achieve the former of these two situations. But before we do so, a big shout out and thanks to my Patreon subscribers. If you haven't become a Patreon subscriber, please consider doing so. And as always, please remember to like and subscribe, since that's going to be doing me a huge favor when it comes to helping me build this channel. The energy in any interaction can often be classified into one of two different categories. There's the category of the person seeking and wanting the approval of the other person, wanting the conversation to keep going no matter what, and really kind of searching for the person's validation. That's category one. Or you can have category two, where everything just seems more natural, and the person, since they're not really seeking something from the other person or needing anything from them, it just flows naturally, and you don't have that other energy. Because what normally happens? What happens is, especially if you're interested in another person, like in a romantic way, or even if you just wanted them maybe to be a business partner, but in general you want something from them, right? When you go into an interaction and it's clear that you want something from them, even if it's just their validation, even if it's just a smile from them to show that they might like you, what this does is it's setting an outcome in your mind of what a successful interaction would be. And you having that in your mind as being the definition of success, of getting that person's validation, then makes you afraid of that your actions might cause that not to occur. So rather than just talking natural like you would with your friends, what you're doing is you're filtering your mind, and you're constantly thinking like, is this good enough to say? Should I say this? Will they like this? Oh my God, the last thing I said might have upset them. Let me apologize. I'm sorry, and qualify myself, right? But what you should be doing is simply offering rapport, right? You should be approaching the person and talking to them as, I'm just offering you the opportunity to get to know me, and that's it. I don't need anything back. I don't need your validation. We'll just chat. It could go somewhere. It could go nowhere. Doesn't matter to me. But you're going into the interaction with that type of, I'm just offering you the opportunity to get to know me. You're not going into that interaction thinking, oh, I need to perform good enough to make this person like me. Now, what are some of the behaviors that a person does when they're often like trying to seek a rapport with another person, like in an unnatural way? Well, what they do is they often do stuff like parroting. What is parroting? Parroting is like just repeating back to the person what they just said to you. For example, the person goes, oh, what's your name? My name's Caitlin. Oh, your name's Caitlin. Nice to meet you, Caitlin. What do you do? I work in marketing. Oh, you work in marketing? That's cool. Are you from around here? No, I moved here from New Jersey. Oh, from New Jersey. New Jersey's great. You know, it's like, it's just taking everything the person says and saying it back to them. Why does a person do this? Well, they do it well because they're nervous, and they're just trying to fill in any pause in the conversation, because again, they're more concerned about keeping the conversation going above all cost. And not only that, what the person does, if they're not parroting, they're often jumping right into these boring interview questions, right? Who are you? Where are you from? All this stuff like a job interview. But a lot of times these are not the appropriate first questions to ask a person. Sure, their name and stuff like that, that's normal. But if it's a stranger at a bar or club at 11, and you're just talking to them one-on-one, and there's no context, there's no like introduction between other friends or something, they're probably not interested in doing a job interview at that point. You got to realize a lot of people don't like their jobs. They don't like, they're going out on the weekend to escape the work week, right? And the last thing they want is some guy coming up to them and reminding them and having them explain to them this part of their life that they're not satisfied with, right? It's just taking the fun and energy out of the interaction, out of their room. So it's better to let that stuff arise naturally if the other person wants to talk to it, but not be the one who kind of forces a rapport by going directly into these interview questions. Another common thing I see all the time with clients, and it's become comical to me at this point, is the high five, right? Like they'll be talking to the girl, and she'll say, oh, I like this band too. He's like, you like that band? Me too. High five. Would you ever do that with a guy friend? If you're like talking to a guy friend and he mentions he likes a band you like or a movie you like or whatever, and you go, oh, you like that too? High five. No, of course you wouldn't. Why? Because it's not congruent to the interaction. Now, if you're in an actual, like you're playing like a foosball game with the person, they scored the winning goal, and you're like, oh yeah, high five. Yeah, of course it's fine to high five a person, right? The point is not the high five itself. The point is, why are you doing it? Is it congruent to the actual moment, or are you doing it just as a way of trying to look like if you get approval and validation back from the other person? And that's normally what the guy's doing. He's looking for like a physical confirmation of validation or the other person liking him. And if he was a guy living in abundance of high value, he wouldn't need that, right? He would feel enough as himself. So if you're not one of these people, like we said, you don't want to be a person who's seeking rapport, forcing things along. You want to be a person who's simply the other category, offering rapport, right? I'm giving you the opportunity to get to know me, and I don't need anything back from you. Maybe we'll hit it off, maybe we won't. If we don't, I'm not going to be emotionally distraught about it. Because that's what so often the other party is worried about. They're worried about being responsible for your emotions and having their reaction then make it awkward for you. Like if you're a guy in abundance and you could care less if the person stays with you or leaves, there's no emotional pressure on the interaction, and the other person senses that, and it makes them more comfortable to stay in the interaction. If they feel like they're responsible for your emotional state and they can tell you like you really need something from them and you need their validation, they're going to want to get out of that interaction. And this is true not only for dating and like meeting people at a bar or nightclub or something, it's true for like a job interview. When you go in for a job interview, if you walk into a job interview and you feel like you're the guy in abundance, we're like, yeah, I have a good skill set, I could work a lot of different places. I'm here to find out if we're a good fit, right? If I'm a good fit for the company, if this job's a good fit for me, we're going to figure this out. There's no pressure. And if it's not, that's fine. It's like not like I need this job. If you walk in and you're like, oh my God, I haven't worked in 2 years. I'm so desperate for a job. I really need this. Like what type of energy is that going to communicate to the interviewer, right? A neediness. It's going to make them a lot more nervous during the interaction instead of feeling like they want a guy with options, right? They don't want a guy that can't find anything else, and women are the same way. The best way of demonstrating that you're not a person who's seeking rapport and you're in the second category instead is actually being willing to break the rapport a little bit and being willing to redirect the conversation in the direction you want. It's the needy guy lacking abundance, so desperate for some validation, who is willing to let the conversation go wherever the girl wants to take it, and he's more concerned about just keeping her happy and keeping it going than the conversation itself, right? But what is the guy with abundance? How does he act? Or he's not going to be worrying about if the conversation ends, right? He's not so concerned with the final outcome of trying to get something from the other person. He could take it or leave it, right? And when you're willing to take it or leave it, you're willing to maybe redirect the conversation into new directions, and maybe that new direction will cause the conversation to end, but you have enough abundance and confidence in yourself that you allow that. And the other person can detect this. And this really communicates so many other things to a person. It shows confidence in yourself, confidence to take a little risk, and direct the conversation. Shows leadership qualities, willing to lead the conversation. It shows that you're not so overly invested in keeping the conversation going that you're not willing to, take some risk and redirect it. You're not chasing the other person so much. You're not trying to qualify yourself, but instead maybe asking questions and having them qualify themselves to you. All these attractive traits are simply communicated in the fact that you're not seeking and trying to force the conversation with the person. You're just offering them the opportunity to get to know you and allowing them to decide if they want to talk to you or not. And either way, you're fine with it. You're not so overly invested in the outcome. If you're interested in learning more about all the unconscious, unattractive behaviors that you may be demonstrating to other people, behaviors that if you simply quit doing them, you'd instantly start generating more attraction within your interactions, well, in this case, I wrote a whole book on the subject, and a link to which can be found in the description below. Also, for those of you who are super serious about getting this area of their life handled and maybe just need some one-on-one coaching to make sure you get on the right track so you can get from point A to point B as quickly and as efficiently as possible, well, in this case, I provide one-on-one coaching, and an application to this can also be found linked to in the description below. Like always, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, ciao.